University Challenge. Asking the questions, Amol Virgin.
Hello and welcome to University Challenge, where another two teams are about to face off for a place in the quarter-finals. Tonight's game is the penultimate match in round two of the competition, and at this point in proceedings, the format leaves teams no room for error. The losing team this evening will be leaving the competition for good. Our first ever team from Lincoln made a big impression in their debut match, dispatching strong opposition from Lancaster. With 3 minutes to go, the scores were level, but Lincoln's knowledge of Gothic architecture, English geography and electrical engineering ultimately allowed them to secure a narrow victory. Lincoln were quick on the buzzer throughout that game, but had a more difficult time with bonuses, struggling through sets on classical music and British birds, though they did display an impressive knowledge of the main characters of Pixar films. Let's meet the team from the University of Lincoln once again.
Hi, I'm Grace Bloomfield. I'm from Buckingham and I study chemistry.
Hello, I'm Laura Bruce. I'm from Perth and I study Conservation of Cultural Heritage.
And their captain.
Hello, I'm Samuel Ormond-Chan. I'm from Derbyshire and I study computer science.
Hi, I'm John Clayworth. I live in Wigan and I study history.
They're facing this year's team from UCL, who played fellow Londoners SOAS in their opening game. UCL took the first starter of that match, and from that point on, they were never once behind, though SOAS did make sure that they were never ahead by a margin of more than a couple of questions. They converted more than 3/4 of their bonuses, breezing through sets on fine art, the American War of Independence, and the languages of Pakistan. European and African geography, however, proved a little less straightforward for them. Let's meet the team from UCL for the second time.
Hi, I'm Zach Lackwater-Baldwin. I'm from London and I'm doing a PhD in Science and Technology Studies.
Hi, I'm Alice Lee. I'm from Kendal in Cumbria and I'm studying for a Masters in Russian and post-Soviet politics.
And their captain.
Hi, I'm Michael Doherty. I'm from Derry and I'm doing a PhD in Optical Communications.
Hi, I'm Manny Campion-Dye. I'm from Bath and I'm studying for a PhD in philosophy.
Welcome back. Very nice to see you all. How are you feeling? Feeling good?
Oh, yeah.
I think we better get on with it. All right, fingers or buzzers. Here's your start for 10. Good luck. During a visit to an exhibition of J.M.W. Turner's works at New York's Museum of Modern Art in 1966, which artist is reported to have said, "This man, Turner, he learned a lot from me"?
UCL Campion-Dye.
Rothko?
It is Mark Rothko. Well done. 3 questions for you on bosses in the Diablo series of video games. Along with Diablo and Baal, which demon lord is one of the 3 prime evils and features as a major boss in several of the games? His name is derived from that of a devil who features in the Faust legend.
Oh, Mephistopheles?
Yeah, Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles.
Oh, yeah? OK. Mephistopheles?
I'll accept that. The name of the boss is Mephisto. It's from Mephistopheles. A daughter of Mephisto, who is the primary antagonist of Diablo 4. She shares her name with a character in Jewish folklore, sometimes said to be the first wife of Adam.
Lilith.
Lilith.
Yes. Sarat and Queen Aranei are among the bosses featured in the Diablo series that take the form of what arthropods?
Could it just be like spiders, maybe? Because that's like a sort of freaky thing that you could have in those.
Are they arthropods?
Yeah,
Or
arthropods
like
is just anything that includes like insects, arachnids, etc. So do you want to try
Yeah,
spiders?
OK. Spider?
Yes, spiders is correct. Well done. Let's start the question. Established by Edward III in 1348 in imitation of the legends of King Arthur.
Lincoln Clayworth.
The Order of the Garter?
Well done. It is indeed. Your bonuses, Lincoln, are 3 questions on science in 1925. In a groundbreaking PhD thesis published in 1925, the Harvard researcher Cecilia Payne established that stars are primarily composed of what 2 chemical elements?
Hydrogen and helium?
Yes. Austrian-born Richard Zsigmondy won the 1925 Nobel Chemistry Prize for his work on what class of submicroscopic particles dispersed in another substance. Their name derives from the Greek for glue.
I actually don't know that one.
Pass.
They're colloids. In 1925, which Austrian physicist proposed the exclusion principle, stating that no 2 electrons in an atom can have all 4 quantum numbers the same?
Is it the Aufbau principle?
Nominate Bloomfield?
Aufbau principle?
No, it's Wolfgang Pauli. Now let's start the question. On which modern wind instrument were Richard Mühlfeld, Heinrich Berman and Anton Stadler notable performers? The three inspired quintets by Brahms, Carl Maria von Weber and Mozart respectively, with Weber and Mozart also writing concertos.
UCL Campion die.
Clarinet.
It is the clarinet, yes, well done. Your three questions, three bonuses on public art found at London's Liverpool Street Station. Installed in 2024 and comprising dozens of metal spheres suspended in the air, Infinite Accumulation is the largest permanent public sculpture by which artist? In the same year, both the Tate Britain and Victoria Miro galleries exhibited some of this artist's Infinity Mirror rooms.
Yeah, Kusama.
Oh, it's Kusama. Yeah. Kusama?
Yes. Situated at the station's Broadgate exit, Fulcrum is a 55-foot tall 1987 sculpture by which American artist who died in 2024. It consists of 5 vertical leaning sheets of Corten steel, one of this artist's signature materials.
American artist who died in
American sculptor.
I mean, Gary did loads of stuff with steel, but it's maybe Calder.
I mean, didn't Calder do more like mobiles and stuff?
Yeah, but
though? Did he do stuff that big if it's like that tall?
He did a
I think
lot.
it's better than Gary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Gary's more like an architect, but
Yeah. Calder?
No, it's Richard Serra. Sculptures by Frank Meisler, Ari Ovadia and Flor Kent commemorate what government-authorised programme of the late 1930s in which thousands of unaccompanied children arrived in London at Liverpool Street.
Kinder Transport.
Kinder Transport, yeah.
Kinder Transport.
It is indeed, yeah. Now let's start the question. In chemistry, what 9-letter term denotes a reagent added to a system to remove or bind particular trace components, usually with the aim of preventing unwanted reactions from occurring? An example being the sachets of iron powder and salt commonly added to packaged food.
UCL Lackiter Baldwin.
desiccant.
Now, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. To absorb oxygen. In zoology, this word means an animal that principally feeds on decaying matter or carrion.
Lincoln Bloomfield.
Decomposer.
No, scavenger. Bad luck. Let's start the question. Which film director's work includes a cycle of films following the character Antoine Douanel, who was, according to the director, a synthesis of himself and the actor who portrayed him, Jean-Pierre Léaud? Antoine appears as an adult in films such as Love on the Run, Bed and Board, Stolen Kisses, and as a mischievous schoolboy in the
UCL Campion die.
Truffaut.
It is Francois Truffaut. Well done. Your bonuses, UCL, are on some of the useful knots which every scout ought to know, described by Robert Baden-Powell in Scouting for Boys. Colloquially referred to as the king of knots, which knot was described by Baden-Powell as for making a loop that will not slip, such as you tie round a man when you want to rescue him from fire.
Do you know any names of? I mean, reef knot is a knot, but I don't know if it's
Yeah, reef knot. I can't think of any
What's
others.
something to do with
Double
rescuing.
under or a triple or, yeah, reef. Reef?
Nope, it's the bowline. Described by Baden-Powell as for tying 2 rope ends together, the principal benefit of which knot is its usefulness in joining 2 ropes of different sizes. It likely derives its name from its use in fixing a rope to the corners of a sail.
Is that a reef?
This could be a reef knot.
Reef? Or could it be like boat or boatsman or something? Sailors? Sailors knot? No, that's got sail in it. Reef, okay. Reef knot?
Note, that's the sheet bend. The first knot described by Baden-Powell, which knot is used to tie 2 similar ropes together. Its fastening may be described as left over right and under, then right over left and under, or the reverse.
I think this actually might be a reef.
Yeah. Reef?
Got there in the end.
Yeah.
Well done. It was the reef knot, yes. Picture round now, and for your picture starter, you will see a national flag. For 10 points, name the country it represents.
Lincoln Orman Chan.
Senegal.
No, you can have a bit more time.
UCL Lackiter Baldwin.
Togo.
It is Togo, yes, well done. That was the flag of Togo, which is the only flag where the proportions of its length and height match the golden ratio. For your picture bonuses, UCL, you will see 3 more national flags with unique aspect ratios. Name the country in each case. First, this flag with an aspect ratio of 189 to 335. Helpful wording has been covered.
It's either El Salvador or Nicaragua, I think, is the other one.
I think it's more likely to be El Salvador.
I think it's El Salvador.
You guys know this, yeah. El Salvador?
Correct. Next, this flag with an aspect ratio of 10 to 17.
That's Cape Verde.
Cape Verde?
Correct. And finally, this flag with an aspect ratio of 11 to 28.
Oh, wait, it's either Qatar or Bahrain.
I think it's Qatar because it has lots more.
Is Qatar the more stretched
Yeah.
out one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Qatar?
It is indeed. Yes, well done. Let's start the question. What word in the singular or plural links all of the following. The nickname given to the English Parliament that sat from 1661 to 1679, the longest in English and British history. The title of a 1624 portrait located in the Wallace collection and painted by Franz Hals. And the name of a professional basketball team based in Cleveland, Ohio.
Lincoln Clayworth.
Cavalier.
Yes, well done. Your bonuses, Lincoln, are on a literary movement and an associated concept. Quote, the enemy of false sensibility and objective description, it seeks to clothe the idea with a sensory form which should not exist as an end in itself, but as a form which must remain subjective. Taken from an essay of 1886, those words of French poet Jean Moreas refer to which literary movement? Other poets associated with this movement include Stéphane Mallarmé.
Not sure on that.
Pass.
Symbolism. Which poet did Moreas credit with being the precursor of the symbolism movement? His poem Correspondences, notable for its use of synesthesia as a poetic device, is often cited as anticipating the symbolist movement.
Pass.
Charles Baudelaire. The sonnet Voyelles, or Vowels, is a work by which symbolist poet? In it, he assigns different colours, sounds and images to particular letters.
Pass.
That was Arthur Rimbaud. Let's start the question. The first OED citation of what word dates to a British patent of 1861 in which a French inventor describes an aerostatical apparatus, which I intend denominating aeronef. Numerous experimental versions of this device appeared in the early 20th century, but mass production did not begin until the 1940s with the R4 made in the USA by Sikorsky.
UCL Doherty.
Jet engine.
No. Anyone want to buzz? You may not confer.
Lincoln Bruce.
Aeroplane.
No, it's a helicopter. Right, things will buzz this is, and I'll start for 10. The preface to the first edition of which novel of the 1760s presented its contents as an English translation of a recently discovered manuscript written around the time of the Crusades and later printed in Naples in 1520.
Lincoln Orman Chan.
House of Othello.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. In 1529, opening with Prince Manfred impatiently awaiting the marriage of his sickly son to the Princess Isabella. The novel is often considered to be the foundation of the horror story as a literary form and the first English language Gothic novel, and it was written by Horace Walpole.
UCL Campion die.
Castle of Otranto?
It is the Castle of Otranto. Well done. Your bonuses, UCL, are 3 questions on limestone. What city in Normandy gives its name to the fine-grained limestone used to build Canterbury Cathedral? Associated with William the Conqueror, who was buried there, it is close to the site of the 1944 D-Day landings.
Is it like Liège or Limoges or something
No,
like that?
there's one up there called like Des something.
Just something.
Lemon? No. Is Lemon up there?
Come on.
I don't know. I think I need something.
Lemon.
Have?
Lemon.
No, it's Caen. The Empire State Building is faced with limestone from which US state? It is largely quarried around Bloomington and Bedford in a triangle formed by the state capital, Evansville, and Louisville, Kentucky.
Which state?
But Bloomington is in...
Is it like Ohio? No.
It could not be
Come on.
Is it Massachusetts, maybe?
Oh, maybe. No, well.
No.
Ohio?
No, it's Indiana. Honey-coloured limestone from Coombe Down came to prominence during the 18th century for its use in the Palladian buildings of which city, known to the Romans as Aquae Sulis?
Bath.
That is Bath. Well done. Let's start the question. Containing 11 conjugated and 2 unconjugated carbon-carbon double bonds, the long-chain polyalkene responsible for producing the red colour in tomatoes is known by what common name?
UCL Doherty.
Beta carotene?
No. Anyone from you may not confer. Anyone from Lincoln?
Lincoln Bloomfield.
Alpha carotene?
No, bad luck. It's lycopene. Let's start the question. Fingers on buzzers. Though not used in English until the early 18th century writings of Joseph Raphson and John Toland, what term denoting the belief that a supreme deity and nature are one and the same is most commonly associated with the 17th century works of Baruch Spinoza?
UCL Campion die.
Monism?
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. It is derived from Greek roots meaning all and God.
Lincoln Clayworth.
Oh.
Omnipotent.
No, it's pantheism. Bad luck. Let's start the question. Researcher and political advisor Stafford Beer pioneered a subset of management theory that drew primarily upon which field of...
UCL like it a Baldwin.
Cybernetics.
It is indeed, yes. Well done. Your bonuses are on textiles associated with Africa. In the production of Ankara fabric, what substance is applied to a textile in order to block dye from penetrating the fibres and thus create a pattern? The technique originated in the production of batik cloth in Indonesia and was brought to the African continent by Dutch colonisers, where it has since evolved.
Just
wax?
Yeah.
Wax.
Yes. Created by weaving thin strips of brightly coloured cloth before cutting and sewing to create patterned fabric, kente cloth is a textile originating in which West African country? The cloth was traditionally reserved for Asante royalty.
Yeah, it's Ghana.
Ghana.
Yes. Aso oke is a traditional hand-woven cloth produced by members of which major West African ethnic group, concentrated in the southwestern part of Nigeria?
Southwestern part of Nigeria, I think, is Yoruba.
I think it is Yoruba.
Yoruba.
It is indeed, yes. Music round now, and for your music starter, you'll hear a piece of popular music. For 10 points, name the artist. Anyone want to have a guess? No, I'll tell you. That was Young Fathers. We'll take your music bonuses when we get the next starter right. So named because of the resemblance of its party's colours to that of the US state's flag, the Arizona Coalition agreed in early 2025 to form a government in which European country? Its leader, Bart de Wever, has previously argued in favour of devolution for some of this country's regions at the behest of his party, the New Flemish Alliance.
Lincoln Ormanchan.
Belgium.
It is Belgium, yes. For your music starter, Lincoln, you heard Get Up from Young Father's Mercury Prize-winning debut album, Dead. For your music bonuses, you're going to hear tracks from 3 more debut albums that won the Mercury Prize. And again, I want you to name the band or artist in each case. First, from 1994.
Nominate Bruce.
Portishead.
Yes, that's Sour Times from the winning album Dummy. Next, this song from 2017.
When I was 3 years old, no one knows me like the piano.
Pass.
That's Sampha. No One Knows Me Like the Piano from the winning album Process. Finally, this song from 2002.
Pass.
I'll tell you, that was Miss Dynamite with Dynamite Tee, which is very much the anthem of my first term at university. Sadly, a very long time ago. Right, fingers and buzzers. Here's another starter question. A single word answer is enough here. Which tissue of the body contains networks of small tubes known as Haversian canals, which themselves contain small blood vessels responsible for the blood supply to osteocytes?
UCL Doherty.
Bone.
Yes, bone is correct. Your bonuses are on sites outside of Mecca and Medina that may be visited on ziyarat, a form of pilgrimage associated with significant figures in Islam. In each case, I need you to give me the site's location. First, containing the tombs of a number of early Sufis, as well as that of Emperor Aurangzeb, the Valley of the Saints can be found in which Indian state? It is located near the city of Kuldabad.
I mean, that's going to be like right near the border with like Pakistan.
So the ones you've got
So, like,
Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan.
or- I think Punjab is more likely.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Punjab.
Maharashtra. Secondly, first built by Caliph Harun al-Rashid, the mosque containing the tomb of Ali can be found in which Iraqi city?
I think it's Karbala, maybe.
If you think it's like over.
Yeah, Karbala.
No, it's Najaf. Lastly, said to contain the head of John the Baptist as well as a shrine to Hussein ibn Ali, the Umayyad Mosque can be found in which capital city?
I think it's Damascus. Yeah.
plausible.
Damascus.
It is Damascus. Well done. Another starter question. The short epistolary novel, Lady Susan, is an early work by which English novelist? It was written around 1794 but not published before her death in 1817?
Lincoln Clayworth.
Jane Austen.
It is Jane Austen. Well done. Your bonus is linked to 3 questions on eponymous facial hairstyles. For 5 points, name the style from the description. First, a moustache named after a fictional criminal mastermind from a series of stories by Sax Rohmer. The moustache is long, thin and styled downwards.
Fu Manchu.
Well done. I think you're wearing one, yeah. Next, a beard named after a 19th century Italian revolutionary. The beard is wide and rounded at the bottom.
I'll be annoyed at myself for that one.
Pass.
Garibaldi. Finally, a style obliquely named after a Union general and arms manufacturer of the American Civil War, who also served as governor of Rhode Island. This term describes thick strips of facial hair at the sides of the face with a clean-shaven chin.
Sideburns.
It is sideburns from Ambrose Burnside. Let's start the question. In physics, which Greek letter is used in lowercase to represent angular velocity and in uppercase?
UCL do a team.
Omega.
It is omega. Well done. 3 questions for you, UCL, on plays. The 1898 collection Plays Pleasant and Unpleasant comprises works by which dramatist? Among the so-called unpleasant group are Widowers' Houses and Mrs. Warren's Profession.
What was it?
Wild?
Could be. Yeah.
It's his time.
I don't think. Yeah, to go for it.
Okay, Wild.
No, it's George Bernard Shaw. Which of Shaw's pleasant plays featured the characters Raina Petkoff and a mercenary named Bluchley, known as the Chocolate Soldier?
The only play I know by Bernard Shaw is Pygmalion.
I mean, it won't be that one. Go for it.
Could be.
I mean, so
It won't be, but go for it.
Would it need to be Bernard Shaw again?
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, yeah. Pygmalion.
Definitely not Pygmalion. It's Arms and the Man. Which of the other pleasant plays has as its title the name of the wife of the Reverend James Morrell? The same word is also used for a genus of yeasts that causes a common fungal infection.
Thrush.
Wait, what did you say about it?
Otterline. There's one person called Otterline Morale.
Oh, okay. Nominate Campion Die.
Otterline?
No, it's Candida, which is the yeast that causes thrush. Candida. Right, another starter round, and it's a picture round. For your picture starter, you're going to see a photograph of an American writer who died in 2023. For 10 points, give me the writer's name.
UCL like it a Baldwin.
Cormac McCarthy?
That is Cormac McCarthy. Well done. For your picture starter, you saw a photograph of Cormac McCarthy, and for your picture bonuses, you're now going to see stills from 3 film adaptations of McCarthy's novels. I want you to name the film in each case. First, this film.
That's The Road.
I think
The
that's
Road.
Certainly is The Road. Secondly, this film based on one part of McCarthy's Border trilogy.
Is that a really young Matt Damon?
Yeah, it's Matt Damon, and that's from Penelope Cruz as well.
what are the border show?
No, he did Blood Meridian. That's another.
not.
This
Yeah.
isn't No Country for Old Men.
Wait, sorry, no,
Could it be Blood Meridian?
It could be, yeah. Go for
That's the only other one I know. Blood Meridian.
That one's All the Pretty Horses. And finally, this film.
That's no
That's
That
No
is No
Country.
Country.
No Country for Old Men.
It is indeed. Now let's start the question. What animal appears on the badges of all of the following football clubs? FC Copenhagen, Sport...
Lincoln Clayworth.
Lion.
Well done. Yeah, your bonuses are on objects within a constellation. Which constellation, one of the 48 identified by Ptolemy, contains the closest star to Earth's sun?
Would it be, maybe.
Nominate Bloomfield.
Andromeda.
No, it's Centaurus. Initially thought to be a star and later classified as a nebula, Omega Centauri is now regarded as the largest example in the Milky Way of what specific type of astronomical object, defined as a stable, tightly bound and roughly spherical group of stars?
Globular cluster.
Yes. Centaurus A is a notable example of a galaxy that is a particularly powerful emitter of what type of electromagnetic radiation, with frequencies below 300 gigahertz?
Would it be, is that radio waves?
Radio waves.
Yes, correct. Well done. Let's start the question. I need 2 answers promptly here. In addition to Bangor, Belfast and Derry, Northern Ireland has 3 other places with city status. Name 2 of them.
Lincoln Clayworth.
Antrim and Larne.
No, you can have a bit more time, but not very much.
UCL Doherty.
Antrim and Oma.
Nope. Armagh, Lisbon and Newry. Let's start the question. In computer programming, what single word describes the operator in C-based languages that is given the symbol ++?
Lincoln Orman Chan.
Increment by 1.
Yes, we take that. Well done. Your bonuses then are 3 questions on the most recent first-time winners of European football leagues as of the start of the 2024-25 season. The most recent occasion that a team became champions of the Dutch Eredivisie for the first time was in the 2009-10 season, when which club, managed by an Englishman, won the title?
Nominate Clayworth.
Groningen.
No, it was FC Twente, managed by Steve McLaren. The 1990-91 season was the last in which a team won Italy's Serie A for the first time. Which club based in Genoa claimed their first Scudetto with striker Gianluca Vialli, the league's top scorer?
Pass.
That's Sampdoria. Germany's Bundesliga saw a first-time champion crowned in 2024, with the league title going to which club, managed by Xavi Alonso?
Nominate Clayworth.
Bayer Leverkusen.
Yes, it is. Let's start the question. In which constellation are the supergiant star Deneb, the North American Nebula, and the Pelican Nebula? The constellation in question is itself named after another waterbird.
UCL Leicester Baldwin.
Cygnus.
Yes, it is Cygnus or the Swan. Well done. Your bonuses are on the name of a pigment. The name of which bright scarlet pigment, a form of red crystalline mercuric sulfide, is ultimately derived from the Latin for worm?
Crimson.
Is it?
Crimson's definitely.
Yeah. Crimson.
No, it's vermilion. The title figure of which poem by John Keats is described as vermilion spotted, golden, green and blue? She is a sorceress discovered by Hermes in the form of a snake.
Nominate Campion Die.
Lamia.
Yes. The Gulf of California was once named the Vermilion Sea because of its red plankton. It is also known by the name of which Spanish conquistador who explored it in 1532?
Maybe Cortez.
Cortez. Oh, yeah, I see Cortez.
Isn't more likely.
Cortez.
Yes. Let's start the question. Derided by Dr. Johnson, admired by Tennyson, which of Shakespeare's plays begins in the garden of a palace and ends in a tent? Other locations include a public place in Rome, a British prison,
Lincoln Clayworth.
Julius Caesar.
I'm afraid you lose 5 points, and country near Milford Haven.
UCL Campion Die.
Cymbeline.
It is Cymbeline, yes. Your bonuses are on George Orwell's 1984. In each case, identify the character who speaks or writes or is reported to have said the following. First, the 2 aims of the party are to conquer the whole surface of the earth and to extinguish once and for all the possibility of independent thought.
Isn't that Winston Smith?
No, that's the guy who
Oh, it's
tells Winston Smith.
what's his name?
Come on.
The one played by Rich Burton. I don't know. Just say Winston Smith.
No, it's
Winston Smith.
Definitely not Winston Smith. And at the goal, Lincoln have 85 and UCL have 119. Well, the answer to the last one was Emmanuel Goldstein, not Winston Smith. Lincoln, that's such bad luck because the fact is, not only were you a fraction late on so many of the starters, which you clearly knew, but then you had to sit there while they got all your bonuses, which you also clearly knew. And I could see your mounting frustration thinking if you'd buzzed in a second earlier, you'd have had all those bonuses. But we've loved getting to know you. Thank you so much for playing so fantastic. You were up against a brilliant team. You say 190 at this stage of the competition is absolutely terrific. And it means we'll see you and your very, very extraordinary mascot again, which I should remind our wonderful viewers was made by you, was it not, Michael?
That is correct.
And that is Jeremy Bentham.
It is in a different form.
With a head that does a 360 and is currently on a kebab stick, is that right?
His spirit lives on.
Wow. Well, we should see you and some form of Jeremy Bentham in the next round as well. Well done. You got through. And I hope you could join us next time for the last of the second round matches. But until then, it is goodbye from Lincoln University.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from UCL.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.